Can y'all explain to me how I can hate something that I love so much and how I can love something that I hate so much? How is that even possible? See, while I love the hood for everything I stated previously, I fucking hate the hood. Cause the hood has the ability to turn the most innocent people into fucking savages. This is why I can't stand when people who ain't from the hood act like they from the hood, have a fascination with hood shit. You really want to be from a place, from conditions, that serves as an impediment to others? An environment that's detrimental to their health? Cause it sound cool? Do you know how much shit we seen as kids that we had no business seeing? How much trauma we walk around with daily? How many images we can't forget? Do you know how hard somebody is working to get out that motherfucker? What Jay say? Whether you dribble out this motherfucker, rap metaphor or riddle out this motherfucker, work second floor hospital out this motherfucker, somehow we gotta get up out this motherfucker? That's a very real sentiment. A lot of y'all will say they living beyond their means. No, they doing whatever they can to afford a life outside that motherfucker. And I understand because I seen too many futures become collateral damage to that affordability. It was the only place moms could afford to stay, so y'all ask me why it's important for mother and father to be in the same home? Because who raises the kid when the single parent is at work? And if they work more than one job or take public transportation to and from, that ain't just 9 hours away from home. And it's even worse if they work at a time when the children are out of school, swing or grave. You know how many teenage girls got ran through, ended up pregnant because, as Rashad say in ATL, man, your mama ain't never home. The neighborhood raises them if you're still searching for an answer. And if the neighborhood is active, they gonna be active too. Yeah, if the neighborhood is gang turf, they gonna bang the set. Now they out there tripping with a person they don't even know. All cause that person got on a Detroit Tiger hat. And that person tripping back cause they got on this Red Sox with that big ass B on the front of it. And it's all because you happen to be raised where your folks could afford to stay. They happen to be raised where they folks could afford to stay. Neither one of your folks knew it was a gang neighborhood. All they saw was an ad for a 3-bedroom that was well within their budget. Countless dead homies, countless homies in prison. An ocean can be formed with the accumulated tears. I've seen too many risks taken on attempts to escape the hood. The homie did 10 years fresh out of high school on an armed robbery. Another homie got 2 lives on 2 attempt murders stemming from an armed robbery. I know a woman who was fucking beautiful. Head on her shoulders right. When everybody else was pregnant or had a child, she was still childless. She worked 2 jobs, Del Taco and Ross. I still remember talking to her on the phone after she told my wife she was going to become a stripper. I remember telling her, do not get caught up in this lifestyle. She was confident as fuck that she was going to be able to handle it. It wasn't even 2 months later before she met and fell for a P, got hooked on drugs, and she been selling herself ever since. Got 2 kids, don't know who the fathers are because they both Johns. But she came up in a home that needed those Del Taco checks to be added to the pot. She didn't have the college route available. She didn't even have the military route available. Too many people were dependent on her, and it was all responsibility placed on her shoulders. Not responsibility that she created herself. But that's the escape route that she's seen as being the most achievable. And this is what y'all so desperately want to associate yourselves with. Endless expressions of hurt, anger, and regret for an eternity. This is why I can't stand when motherfuckers get into it and they be like, oh, you ain't like that. You ain't like that. You ain't gotta be like that to end up in a fucked up situation. If I'm being honest, it's the ones who not like that that'll leave you in the worst position. Y'all think it's the ones who not afraid to throw hands that's out here pulling the triggers? No, it's all the ones who ain't like that. It's a lot of people in prison who are there because of how they responded to fear. They really fear for their lives, so they got the drop first. They fear getting jumped, so they strapped up. They was getting bullied by somebody way bigger than them, so they strapped up. You know how many people in them cars not like that? But when that car pull up and the person that's like that get out and get to that action, everybody in that car gonna get charged like they like that. Giles wasn't like that. Giles was goofy as shit. When I would go to his house, we spent the whole time playing Sega, making endless trips back and forth to the store. We used to be in the kitchen whipping up shit. He used to want to be a chef. Unknowingly to me, there was a lot of other shit going on in his life. A lot of shit that when I read, I didn't recognize in him, didn't see it, didn't hear it. And if not for court documents, I would have no clue about it. We're talking about somebody I've known since I was 5 years old. Esther's house. Kindergarten at CP Squires Elementary School. There was no spend a night. It was more like spending a week, 4 to 5 nights at a time. I didn't see the abuse from his mom. I didn't see the alcohol or drug use. The worst thing he would do around me is smoke, cigarettes, and weed. He used to reek of cigarette smoke. The person that I met at 5 was the same person the last time I saw him at 15, 16. From my vantage point, he was never supposed to be where he is, serving 6 life sentences. Now, I don't refute anything that he did. He don't refute anything that he did. His sentence is justified. But what I do know is the person that I know him to be at his core wasn't like that. If you would have told me back then that Giles would grow up to kill somebody, I would have told you that it's because they laughed to death. But here's the real question. Was he being fake around me? Or was he comfortable enough to be himself around me? When I think about it now, after learning some of the things that I read about him, I wonder if he wanted me around because of our friendship or because of the safety that my presence provided him. I'll never forget seeing that newscast right before we hit the road to go to Disneyland. It's more than ironic to be headed to the happiest place on earth in the worst emotional condition you have ever been in at that time. Again, Giles wasn't like that. But then again, Tweet wasn't like that either. Tweet was a good ass kid. From 4th grade to my sophomore year, I used to hoop in front of his house every day. I was close friends with him and his older brother Antoine. I ate at their mother's dinner table. Bro wasn't involved in shit. When the police used to come through the neighborhood looking for the rest of us for all the endless stupid shit that we were involved in, he was one of the few who wasn't worried at all. We were 11, 12, 13 running in homes. He was telling us that we were stupid. Sometime around his late teens, he got put onto a substance that changed the direction of his life. He was not like that. But that's 9 life sentences between 2 of my closest childhood friends. When Cole picked up the paper and it said my nigga Eddie caught a body, I'm convinced. Anybody is a killer, all you gotta do is push him to the limps. Man, but this is why I fucking hate the hood. Cause you could come up with people like that, playing basketball, going in the desert, building clubhouses, going in the house, watching wrestling, playing the Sonic on Sega. But the conditions, the environment they're growing up in doesn't allow them to continue to be that person. That's why when you go back, it can't be for long. Because when you spend more than 30 minutes on that meter box, chopping it up, reminiscing about the old days, you're going to run out of good shit to reflect upon. Then it's only the bad left. And the longer you stay, the more you're going to regret pulling back up. And when you leave, like Smokey said, you're going to cry in the car.
I was listening to that Reason album, Porches. At the end of the first track, called Faded Off Pouring Riches, something was spoken that was profound. It said, "Isn't it ironic to want to escape the same thing that made you?"